Welcome, I'm Judy Kurtz, the Hill's In the Know columnist. He was a lawyer and Donald Trump defender, the former president's self-described fixer turned foe. Now Michael Cohen is joining the political theater. He has a new book out, Revenge, and he's teaming up with an unlikely ally, heading to Hollywood and hosting comedian Kathy Griffin on his podcast. I'm joined today by Michael Cohen. Hi, Michael.
Good to see you, Judy.
Good to see you as well. You said almost a year ago that former President Trump was not going to run in 2024. That was your prediction. Has anything changed? Has your view on that changed?
No, nothing has changed. As I have stated from day number one, this is the greatest grift for Donald in the history of his entire work experience. Every single day he's out there. You know, I'm even on that Republican site. And despite the fact I've never been a Republican. In 87, 88, I worked for Congressman Joe Moakley. That's how far back I go with the Democratic Party. But what's interesting is every single day I must get at least 15 to 20, and that's on a light day, from Donald. Hey, friend, you know, I need you 1,000 times. You know, we're going to increase your donation. I'd be curious to know if anybody's actually increasing people's donations or matching it 1,000%. I don't know, but this is the greatest grift for Donald. He barely works, doesn't do anything. People are putting out these letters for him all day long, and he's raking in $150, $200 million. That all comes to an end if he runs.
So, but despite everything that's transpired between you two, you're still on the fundraising emails, is that right?
Yeah, well, not on the, they have my email address, and so they send it to me. And truth be told, I really don't want to opt out from it because I'm curious to see just, how many of these things everybody is sending out. It's really amazing.
If Trump does decide to run in 2024, do you feel that there's anyone who can beat him?
Well, I think anybody could beat him. I think Donald's popularity has waned tremendously, not just as a result of the January 6th insurrection. Let's even put behind us all of the stuff that we already have seen: obstruction of justice, witness tampering, even this presidential pact that he has, which is all fugazi too. But then you also have now the whole Mar-a-Lago raid, where we're finding that there are top secret documents that have been released, right? And in his custody and control. And then the lies continue. And that's actually what my book Revenge is about. It's how Donald lies and uses the media to continue to promote the lies. So, for example, with Mar-a-Lago documents, now he's attacking the deceased George Bush. He's attacking George Bush, the son, and he's attacking Barack Obama. He's attacking the Clintons, all claiming that they had top secret documents kept in different locations, from a bowling alley to a supermarket or what have you. That is not true. And they have already confirmed that it's not true, but he still continues to lie. Fox News, OAN, Newsmax, they continue to promote the big lie again. So we'll call this big lie number 2, right? And he's just, again, fundraising off of it. I don't know. There's no words for the stupidity of these donors.
On the personal side for you, if Trump does run, if he wins in 2024, what does that mean for you? Are you worried at all for your safety?
Yeah, I am. Because what Revenge, my new book that just came out today, what it does, it talks about what happens when you have a president of the United States that weaponizes the U.S. Department of Justice to go against his critics. My fear is that you're going to see like what you're seeing in Russia right now. All of these individuals flying out of windows or mysterious deaths of suicide. Donald has a very long list of, we'll call it an enemies list. And I'm certain that I am definitively on it.
We are in hyper-partisan times, to say the least. You said you have been a longtime Democrat, but do you consider yourself part of the Democrats? Are they your team? You've obviously taken heat from both sides of the aisle.
Well, I have. Do I consider? I consider myself to be a Democrat. I vote Democrat. I believe more in the fundamentals of the Democratic Party than I do, especially where the Republicans have gone under the Trump administration and now post the Trump administration with people like Ron DeSantis or Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I fundamentally disagree with them on almost everything. But look, if there was a Republican that came out that I thought could unify this country, which is what we need, that could kill this divisiveness that is, stymieing progress in America, 100%, I would be in favor of that individual.
Trump has faced lawsuit after lawsuit over the years, some which you have been involved with on his side at times, and on the other side at other times. But is it a pipe dream for his critics that the Mar-a-Lago probe and other investigations will lead to an indictment?
Look, this, as I talk about again in the book, the Department of Justice under Donald Trump, the answer would have been a definitive no. Now that it's under the Biden administration with Merrick Garland, who seems to be incredibly methodical, so methodical that he's almost like molasses through a strainer, I do believe that there will be indictments coming down against Donald, his company, including possibly his children, as well as others that are in his orbit. Do I think that the Mar-a-Lago raid will be the first of those indictments? I do not. I believe that the Tish James case, now that she's referred the matter over to DOJ as well as to the IRS, I believe that the indictments should be, because it's the low-hanging fruit, should be for tax evasion. I call that my Al Capone theory, right? They couldn't get him on murder, racketeering, extortion. So instead, they got him on tax evasion. The same thing that they can get Donald on. Not to mention Tish James's case will financially destroy him.
Want to switch things up a little. You have a live taping of your podcast, Mea Culpa, coming up in Hollywood. You're taking the show on the road alongside Kathy Griffin. How did that come about? So
I had met Kathy Griffin really online and through Rosie O'Donnell, who I have to just say is an amazing, amazing person. Even came up to visit me while I was in Otisville, the Federal Correctional Institution. And I got to tell you, we've remained friendly since. And as a result of my relationship with Rosie, I then became friendly with Kathy. And I was looking for a comedian. I was looking for, as well, a female comedian, because some of the things I want to talk about is Roe versus Wade. I want to talk about the things that are now happening in our country, whereby they're taking away rights that people have become accustomed to over the last 50 years. But I want to do it not so much where it's just like beating a nail on the head. I want to do it with a comedic flair, because the goal is really to get people to listen. And I hate to say it, but most people's attention span, as a direct result of something that I refer to as Trump fatigue, their attention span as it relates to this, it's only a few minutes. And obviously there's so much here that needs to be unpacked and discussed that I called up Kathy and she agreed. And yeah, we're going to be at the El Rey Theater on November 1st, taking Mea Culpa. But we have other people as well, like Harry Litman will also be joining. There are a couple of possible surprise guests that will show up as well. And, there are others that will be coming and joining us as well.
You said you had a jail time visit from Kathy Griffin. Is that right? What was that like?
No, from Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh, from Rosie O'Donnell. What was that visit like?
Oh, it was fantastic. First of all, she's incredibly entertaining. She's warm. Now, under normal circumstances, there's really not supposed to be any cross conversation between inmates and their guests with other inmates and their guests. But with Rosie, that was an absolute impossibility. There was no way that people weren't coming over every 3 seconds. I love you. I think you're fantastic. And she was incredibly generous with her time. I think she stayed with me there almost 6 hours.
You and Kathy Griffin doing the podcast together. Is there any chance you're going to take this further on the road and maybe be like a duo going forward, go on tour?
Well, I don't know about that. Listen, we'll see how that one goes. But I'm definitely going to continue to take Mea Culpa on the road as a brand. The purpose of Mea Culpa is not just to provide my take on the news, putting into perspective the knowledge that I have that spans over a decade. It's really becoming more of a movement. We've now passed 50 million downloads. We're top 20 podcast on Apple News and some of these other platforms. We're on every platform. But one of the things that I want to use mea culpa for is to ensure that not just this November midterm elections and the general election coming up in 2024, that people are properly informed and that we talk about nothing but the truth is part of the mea culpa adage. One of the things that irritates me, and it should irritate you and everybody else that cares about the truth, is the extent of the misinformation, the disinformation, and the malinformation that is being poured out there on a daily basis by a multitude of different media that lacks any semblance of truth. And it's merely just, again, in honor of their monarch, their dictator, their autocrat. And I'm referring to individual number one, Donald J. Trump.
Do you now regret playing a role in providing some of that, what you call misinformation?
Well, in terms of at the inception of the campaign, remember, post 2017, that's when this entire nightmare started for me, which, as I discuss in Revenge, was started by the Trump administration and Donald himself. Do I regret it? I regret the day that I accepted the job. I should have been smarter. I should have listened to my wife and my children. I didn't need the job. I didn't need to work for him. Why I chose to do it, I was somewhat bored in my life. I was looking for more action. Real estate was really fundamental to me. On top of that, I was immediately placed on the board of Miss Universe, as well as made a co-president of Trump Productions. There was a lot of activity going on. I wish to God I had a time machine, right? I wish Stewie Griffin would come make me a time machine, and then I would end up going back in time. And when he asked me if I would come work for him, I would have just said, I'll tell you what, why don't you just pay me the bill that you owe and we can just call this friendship quits. Would have saved me a lot of hurt, would have saved my family a lot of unhappiness and a lot of pain.
Michael, you've been in the public eye for a long time now. Are there things that you know about former President Trump that you still haven't shared at this point?
So the answer to that is probably not. And when I say probably not, I'm leaning more to saying emphatically no. I've given over 400 hours worth of testimony. Every single question that was asked of me, whether it was Republican or Democrat, and I'm not referring to the House Oversight Committee, when not a single Republican asked me a single question about Donald. But during the ones that were in the SCIF, during other congressional hearings that I attended without subpoena, I answered every single question. I did the same thing for the Mueller team. I did the same thing for the district attorney. I did the same thing for the attorney general. And as I'm always say, I'm thankful to Tish James for recognizing that. But the answer is, I don't think so. I don't think there's anything that they have asked me that I know for a fact. There's not a question that they asked me that I did not provide an answer to that I have knowledge of.
When all is said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
Just as someone who did the right thing. I want people to know that, I'm a loving husband. I just had my 28th anniversary the other day. I'm a father to two, I'm brother. I have 3 siblings. I'm a good child to my parents. I'm a good friend or a great friend, to my friends. And all around, the stories that have been told about me as like this monster skulking around, Manhattan or around the country or even the world, pursuing, if you listen to the idiot Christopher Steele, right, skulking around the world with 10 million in a backpack, paying off stuff that Manafort did, beating people with a baseball bat, being like a Ray Donovan type character. It's not true. Was I a sharp-elbowed attorney? Did I have relationships in the media in order to spin? No different than what Sarah Huckabee Sanders did You know, I mean, these are people that are lying to who? To the American people. So the answer is that's how I want to be remembered, that I am not the person that the media had made me out to be. And it's one of the things that I certainly hope that this book, Revenge, points out, because, you know, what is the person, as the other Ray Donovan, who worked for Ronald Reagan as Secretary of Labor, once said, what does a person need to do to get their reputation back? And I can tell you from a firsthand experience, it's not easy. You just have to fight every day for the truth.
Michael Cohen, thank you so much.
Good to see you.